Morning YouTube, welcome to my kitchen. I'm just going to move the camera up a bit because it's a bit low, sorry about that. I'm trying to find a different location to make videos. Because where I'm living now here in this little village in Cornwall, there's something about this house. I really like living here, but I haven't found a place in this environment to make videos. I like making them when I'm walking, of course. I still make those are my favourite kind. But I do feel like I should make some sitting down sometimes, particularly when it's raining, you know what I mean? But as I say, I haven't found a location to do that yet. I've tried it against that wall and all that kind of stuff. It just doesn't feel comfortable. So the thing I've come closest to in this house is making videos whilst I was making porridge over here at my counter. But I'm not eating porridge right now. So I'm just giving this a go, see how that works out. But actually I'm thinking about community a bit, or kind of about community. Sorry about the mess, by the way, I haven't tidied up yet. Kind of about community, more about how social engagement, social relationships work. And things like trust, yeah, let's see if I can do this. Trust, anonymity, personal information, boundaries, disclosure, and responsibility for privacy. That's what I'm going to try and get to. And I've made a graphic. See, what I should do here is just cut in a piece of well-made art, but I'm not. I'm just going to hold up a drawing instead. Some of you will be familiar with what this is. This is called the Johari window. If you've done A-level psychology or anything like that, you'll have come across the Johari window. Johari window is called Johari window because it's named after the two guys who invented it. One was called Joe and one was called Harry, or Joseph and Harrington. Joseph and Lufton, Harrington Ingham, 1955. Anyway, I'll talk to the details out in a sec. But the Johari window, I can't remember where it was most used. It's probably used in something like organisational psych or kind of self-help things tend to draw on it. And it's just a model of information, how information is shared about oneself and indeed to oneself within social settings and particularly within relationships and communities. So let me just talk through this and explain why I'm doing it. Right, okay, here we go. Look. So you have to think of the, see it looks like a window, that's why it's called the Johari window. And it says that that our knowledge of oneself can be categorised into 4 parts. These parts and these parts. So there's some things about us which are known to others. You know something about me, you know I wear glasses, right? You know a lot of other stuff. And there's some things that are not known to others. You know, there's things about me you don't know because I haven't told you. But then again, there's also things which are known to, which are known to myself. Yeah, things about me that I know about myself. I know I wear glasses, you know. But there's also things that are not known about myself. Okay, so if you just think about those as 2 dimensions, things that are known to others and things that are known to yourself, then you get this box of 4. Yeah. So, sorry, it's take a few minutes. This area here called the arena, you'll be very familiar with that because we're in it right now. Toasty buddy. This consists of things that are known to others and which are known to self. So you and I both know that I wear glasses, that I haven't shaved, that I've got a dog called Phoebe, a bunch of other stuff, right? So there's a whole bunch of things about that and more personal things. Then there's this thing which is called a facade, and we've all got one of these, right? I've got a facade. These are things which are known to myself but not known to others. Yeah, known to self, not known to others. So we've all got that facade, the front, the face we put up to the world. I'm going to talk about that in a sec. Then we've got this bit here, which is called the blind spot. Things which are known to others but not known to ourselves. So there's a bunch of stuff about me that you know, but that I don't know. Because we're not transparent to ourselves, are we? You know, I might think of myself as a kind of modest, self-effacing academic. But you know that I'm really you know, an arrogant, aggressive, curmudgeonly shit, really. But I don't know that, you see, because I'm not transparent to myself. So that's part of my blind spot. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff that's unknown. That's stuff that I don't know about me, you don't know about me, or whoever. But it's in there. So things like, you know, unfulfilled potentials. I might have an allergy that I don't know about yet, that no one else knows about yet. I might have a phobia that just hasn't been triggered. There might even be some memories that haven't been surfaced yet. You know, that kind of thing? Anyhow, so there's the arena, which is the stuff we share. There's my private life, which is hidden behind a facade. I know about it, but you don't. There's a blind spot, things about me that you know that I don't know. And then a whole bunch of stuff that, whoa, fucking hell, that we don't know about, that neither of us know. The unknown unknowns. The bit that's most important from what I'm talking about here is these bits here. I'll put the drawing down now because I think I can just do this by talking and making toast. Because, you know, when you get to know me in a social situation, or when I get to know you in a social situation, what tends to happen is I tend to what you might call drop the facade, right? Which means that I tell you things about myself, things that are private, things that you didn't know about me. As we get to know each other, they become part of the arena that we share together. Things that you do know about me, and vice versa. You know, I disclose, as it's called, I disclose things to you about myself that I would otherwise hide behind a facade, and you do the same for me. You disclose things about yourself. And that's important, right? That's part of trust building, isn't it? And how communities work, and how kind of reciprocation networks build. How, you know, just how you get to know someone. Because without those kind of disclosures, and I'm not talking about, you know, mad confessions all the time, anything like that. Just the very basic trust that you need to have in order to be able to have any kind of conversation, right? I mean, there might be other effects of disclosure. You know, if you disclose things to people, then it might be that they become more open with you and more critical, so you start to find things out about yourself. Your blind spot perhaps would shrink us a bit by getting to know people more and having them give you good feedback about yourself, so you can know more about yourself. But from what I'm talking about here, the predominant thing really is this disclosure. You know, I disclose things to you, and that's part of the reciprocal process of our getting to know one another. That's the way that's supposed to work. But there's several things about that, isn't there, really? The first thing about that is that that's always context dependent. I mean, this window makes it look like, well, you might be forgiven for thinking that this window, this Johari window, Joe and Harry's window, just opens out onto the world at large. You know, that if I disclose something to you within our social situation, then that's public information. But that's not the way it works, is it? I mean, the things that my close family know about me, that I've disclosed to them, which form the trust relationship, that relationship, the trust foundation for that relationship, are very different to the things I've shared with you. And vice versa. I mean, you know things from watching. If you've watched my videos, you know things about me which some of my close family don't know. You know, I've never talked to my close family, for example, about my a homosexual relationship I had once. I've made videos here about it, but I've never talked to my family about that. Well, I talked to some members of my family, but certainly my mum never knew about that, or one or two other, you know, quite a few other people. What else? I mean, you know what my naked body looks like. I mean, I've disclosed that here to you guys, but certainly my kids haven't seen that for years, and there's no reason why they should. You know what I mean? So disclosure happens in different contexts to different people in different degrees. I'm just pull up a chair because I'm getting tired. So you know what I mean? That's so the Johari window isn't the general thing. It's always going to be context dependent, and the relationships that we set up with one another have different levels of disclosure and different kinds of things that we disclose. You know, the things that would be really difficult to talk about in one setting would be absolutely fine in others. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is to do with how that changes in an environment like the one we're in right now, which is an online mediatized environment run by Google, the most powerful search engine in the world. Because what that means is that disclosure comes a bit different. You know, it wasn't that long ago when if you wanted to find out anything about me, you just had to ask. And if I wanted to say, no, you can't have that information, then you didn't have it. There was no way for you, the only way for you to get to know me was for me to disclose to you. You know what I mean? It was a positive act on my part, and the responsibility was on you and I, was on me to disclose, and for you to be open to listening to that. But that's different now, isn't it? Because you can find out huge amounts about me, and some of you have, and I know this because, and I don't mind, by the way, I'm not complaining, this is just the way it is. You know, as some of you, most of you will know, I recently launched a project for a thing I'm doing down here at Falmouth with Coughlin and Gary Edwards and the Abominable History Man. We're doing a live event, and I made that, the video launching that event at my university where I work, right, and I named the university. Within 24 hours, I was getting emails from a website called academia.edu. Academia.edu is it's kind of LinkedIn for academics. It's a social site, social networking site notionally for people who work in higher education. I've got a profile on there. I don't really use it, but you know, my name is on there with my affiliation. And the thing about academia is that they send you an email when anybody looks at your profile. And hardly anybody looks at my profile because I'm not active on the site. But as I say, when I made that video launching the More Dick project, within 24 hours I got 30 emails from academia.edu saying people had searched my profile. So that's the kind of world we live in, where you don't need to disclose your information. It's already there, or large parts of it are. Of course, there's things about me which are not available online, which you can't search for, but not much. You know, and the same goes for you. Anybody with who knows your name and your location, or ideally if you've got a face there, so you can do a Google image search for a face, which isn't great right now, but it's getting better. Then you know you're found, really. Yeah, particularly if you use the same profile picture, by the way, for your face. If you use the same profile in different sites, a Google image search will find you from your image. But that changes the game, doesn't it, of this thing here? Particularly in terms of what disclosure is. Remember, disclosure is when you and I get to know one another because I trust you enough that I tell you things. I disclose information to you. So what was previously held behind my facade as private information is given to you, you alone, as public information. So it's only public within this context, right? That's how that works. But that's changed now. A lot of information is now public that was once private, and I don't have to disclose anything to you. I mean, I might choose to, but most of the things that you would want to know are already available to you. There isn't an act of disclosure. Something else has to take that place. So what kind of things, I suppose, is what I'm starting to ask, take the place of that moment of disclosure which grants that we are part of the same community, that we trust one another, that we're in the same network. It isn't me telling you things, is it? Because you already know that stuff. You Googled me. So what takes that place? I think a couple of things are at least implicated there. The first is to do with responsibility for knowledge, or about oneself. This is just speculation, so you may disagree with that. When this was more in place, our disclosure really is not so much, although it appears to be about me telling you things, it's more about me giving you rights to use that. So even if I disclose something as simple as the name I prefer to be called, I like people to call me Fred, and I'm fine with that. It's not really my name, actually, but I'd like to be called Fred. So if I tell you that I like to be called Fred, in a sense I'm saying I grant you the permission to use that information. You can call me Fred, to my name, and I might even set some parameters around where else you can use it. And other things, if I tell you about the homosexual experience I mentioned a while ago, I'm granting you the access to that information, but I'm not really granting you the permission just to use it any way you like. I mean, obviously I can't stop you. But if we are in a community situation, if we're in a trust relationship here, then I'm still kind of setting a boundary around, or negotiating with you, a boundary about where that information should be used, about which other relationships that you have with other people, you can bring that information to bear. If I put naked pictures of myself on the internet with rabbit ears on, I'm granting you that information. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you can just copy it and do what you want with it. It might, and they are Creative Commons, but in a community sense, in an interpersonal sense, because we are people here, right? There's a different set of human relationships and human responsibilities that we have to each other, I think, which I think makes this thing very different now. I just think the Johari window is very different to how it used to be, particularly in relationship to disclosure of information. It's no longer, it seems to me, my toast's getting cold, it seems to me that gaining trust in a relationship, which is part of how communities build, is less now to do with my disclosing information to you and vice versa, you reciprocating by disclosing information to me, but to you and I setting boundaries about what information about one another we will access, what information about one another we will deploy in conversation, and certainly what information about one another we will use in other contexts. It seems to me that that's how trust relationships are going to be built in these terms, using the language of disclosure. I'm not disclosing information to you, you already have it. Where the boundaries are being set now is something like usage, I think. And I'd be very interested to know what you think, because obviously I like the idea of honesty and I like the idea of being able to disclose information, but I do have a worry when people start saying anything that you put in the public domain is available anywhere, can be used anywhere. That's not the way that disclosure usually works. Historically, it's not the way it can, it's that kind of ultimate disclosure, ultimate openness is the enemy of community, because it doesn't allow the formation of relationships, trust relationships and structures. Yeah, that's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. Anyway, thank you very much. Sorry it's been such a long video. I don't know about this setting. I kind of quite like it. I'm going to eat my toast now, and I'll see you on the flip side, as they used to say on some show.